Well, that was disappointing, although not entirely surprising. Mexico beat the USA 1-0 on Wednesday, and to be honest, the game can be summarized in two words: bad passing. Yes, the game was filled with bad passing for the US on both sides of the pitch, and that is what ultimately led to their downfall. Now, at the beginning of the first half, Mexico pressured the US heavily, and to be fair to the US, they did do a good job of absorbing that pressure, and the center backs were overall pretty solid, which was a nice surprise. But despite absorbing all that pressure effectively for Mexico, the US really could not create anything in attack. They rarely challenged Mexico at all, and though also Mexico struggled a bit as well. So I guess the US can also be commended for keeping that scoreline so low. But still, a loss is a loss. The best chance the US had in the first half was from a set piece. Now the cross came in, but Johnny Cardoso just missed it. It was close, and if he had been able to connect with it, it could have been a good shot on target. Their goalkeeper was also injured in the same play and was subbed off. For most of the first half, Ochoa had easy saves to make, but then right before the end of the half, Soto, of all the players, made a baffling decision to do a no-look pass back to a center back despite not being under much pressure, and he put it short. So it was intercepted very easily by Mexican player Antuna. In fact, it seemed like the pass was intended for him. That's how bad it was. And Antuna, of course, took full advantage of the opportunity and put it away to give Mexico the lead. It really was the only big mistake made by the US, but unlike the Costa Rica game where they were able to get away with it, with Mexico, if you make those type of mistakes, Mexico will make you pay for it. And that's exactly what happened. I do feel bad for Soto, and I did hope that he would be able to redeem himself by at least being able to get an equalizer. But even in the second half, where they did start to put more pressure on Mexico, they were never really able to threaten them much. Again, even with being able to get in their final third, that final pass was always lacking. Going back to what I said about the bad passing. For example, Salcedo was able to have the ball wide and had players available in the middle, but was not able to get a good pass to them. Once he put the ball far ahead of them, and another time in a similar position with options in the middle, but again, this time he put the ball too far behind them. Now, each could have given the US a great goal scoring opportunity, at least a shot on target, but again, that final pass was always lacking. There was another chance off a corner kick where Cardoso did get a header, but it ended up being an easy save for the goalkeeper. A little later, Hassani Dotson had the ball with Mihailovic getting ready to make a good run in the middle, and he does pass it to him, but it's too hard and ends up being too far ahead of Mihailovic. A better weighted pass would have led to a good chance, but yet again, the passing was lackluster. There was also a bit of a confrontation between Ochoa and a Mexican defender who was blocking him, which is something he's not supposed to do. Even though he did get a yellow card for it, so did Ochoa. Most likely it was a little push that he gave in the back, and I don't think that's anything to worry about, but it does warrant mentioning. And once again, all the subs came in the second half and not too far from each other. First, there was a triple sub at the 61st minute. It was Perea for Yule, Cardoso for Lewis, and Soto for Ferreira. Now, the first two I understand, but I didn't think it was such a good idea to take out Soto so early. Yes, it was his mistake that cost the goal, but I wanted to give him a chance to redeem himself. And you could tell he wanted to also. He was very active, putting pressure, stealing the ball off defenders, and even got a good shot off, although it was just wide. Point is, he was involved and hungry. And Jesus came on, and maybe it was because he was already on a yellow, but he turned into John Cena because you couldn't see him. Seriously, he ghosted through the rest of the game and didn't make any kind of impact. So I'm sure if Soto stayed on, he could have found the equalizer. The later subs were Michelle for Salcedo and Tessman for Dotson, although neither were able to impact the game much or enough to make a difference. The game ended at 1-0 for Mexico. Again, not the worst thing in the world, especially since we had already qualified for the next round, but a win or even a draw would have gone a long way in boosting our confidence going into the most important game of the tournament. Speaking of which, now before we get into the preview for the semifinal, just a quick reminder to please hit that like button and subscribe. And if you're already one of the awesome people who subscribe, then please remember to turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. All right, on to the semifinal. So it was exactly as I predicted, down to Canada being the second team out of their group. Now, of course, in all honesty, I used them as a placeholder, but hey, I still guessed it right, which is pretty cool. And Honduras topped the group with a 1-1 draw with Canada, and so that means that they will be our opponent in the semifinal. And we honestly could not have had a harder team to play against in the semifinal other than Mexico. Honduras is no slouch. Players to look out for include Edwin Rodriguez, their right midfielder who already has a goal in this tournament and plays for Olimpia, one of the best teams in Honduras. Also, Derrickson Vuelto, who has 2 goals and has plenty of professional experience with Real España. One of their forwards, Douglas Martinez, is also someone to look out for. He plays for Real Salt Lake, and he also already has a goal in this tournament as well. Their other forward, Luis Palma, plays for CDS Vida and has 9 goals for them in this current season. Now, those are only a few players to look out for. In fact, many of the players that are on this squad are the exact same ones who played in the 2019 Pan American Games, where Honduras won silver. And all 4 of the players who scored all of their goals in that tournament are in this squad as well. So not only do these players have more experience playing together, but they also have more experience playing against much tougher opposition, such as Uruguay and Argentina. And just for reference, so you can see how dangerous and effective these players can be. In those Pan American Games, Vuelto scored 4 goals in total. Martinez scored 3, including the only game they scored in the final against Argentina. Maldonado had 2, and Reyes also had 2. And once again, all of those players are in the squad and available to play against the U.S. tomorrow. So I am definitely nervous about this game. I still think the U.S. can win. My prediction that I'm going with is a 2-1 win for the U.S. So that's 2 goals for the U.S. and 1 for Honduras. Honestly, I think that's the best we can hope for. I think Honduras is definitely going to get a goal. So what that means is we have to outscore them. A draw is possible, which would lead to overtime and then possibly penalties, but I think that favors Honduras more than the U.S. Why? Well, I'm not sure how good our players are at penalties, but I know for a fact that Honduras is pretty good at them. Why? Because once again, back in those Pan American games, that's what happened in their game against Mexico. It ended 1-1, went to penalties, and Honduras scored all of their penalties. And by the way, every single player who scored those penalties is playing against us on Sunday. So yeah, definitely don't want penalties. If we are going to win, it has to be in regular time. Also, good to keep in mind that the last time Honduras played against the U.S. in a semifinal for Olympic qualifying was back in 2015, and Honduras beat the U.S. 2-0. Something to keep in mind as well. Now, the lineup I'm going with is, of course, David Ochoa in goal. He has to start. He has proven to be our best option there in this tournament. We are going to need him to come up with some big saves for sure. So, no one but Ochoa should be in goal. Center backs have improved, honestly, since that terrible first game. And I think it will be Glad, who also showed that he plays best on the left. And Pineda, with the game against Mexico, actually showed he plays best on the right. So that's who I'm going with, Glad and Pineda. Vines on the left, since he was obviously rested for this game. On the right, I'm going to stick with Araujo. Now, both him and Herrera started last game, so they're both equally tired. And I think Araujo is the best option there, so I'm going with him. Now, in the middle, I'd go with the same as the Dominican game, with Perea, Yule, and Cardoso. Now, that is a more defensive midfield, but I think that it's definitely warranted in this case. And also, as proven with the Dominican game, Yule can actually play deeper out of possession and be more defensive and help out in that way, but also move further up while in possession and can definitely link up and move the ball, progress the ball forward in attack. Up front, I think Lewis for sure will start. He was also rested specifically for this game. He plays best on the left, so that's where he should start. Jesus is also most likely to start as well. And for the right, since Salcedo has already started the last 2 games, I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see Michelle start there. Now, I know Dotson and Mihailovic have linked up well together, but honestly, I think they work best as impact subs coming on together, just like in that Dominican game. And that also leaves Tessman, Soto, and Salcedo to come on later as well. So that's my match prediction and lineup. What is yours? And how confident do you feel going into this do or die game? Let me know down below. And once again, please remember to hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. This is American Soccer United, the place where American soccer fans unite.